Episode 2, 131045. We open on a scene where Emma's in a dark room holding Connie's little bunny with a fancily made table that has a very dead Connie on it. Then a demon comes from behind and is assumed to have eaten Emma. It was then revealed that it was a dream. I like to draw attention to the similarities between the camera work here and the camera work of the last episode after the reveal. If you haven't seen the last episode, you should watch it. I mean, you don't need to watch that episode to understand this one, but it will give a lot of context. Maybe watch it after you're done with this video, so the algorithm likes my videos better. Anyways, it's similar in the fact that we have a slow pan of Connie's dead face like in last episode, and it fast cuts to the demons. Although in the first episode it's represented more as a jump scare, this may have been a way to tell us that Emma's been reliving this experience since there are undeniable similarities to the reveal, and it shows the impact that experiencing this had on Emma. We have a shot of the clock ticking above Emma's head. To me, this symbolizes that they're literally battling against time. If the clock runs out, everyone dies. And yeah, I won't go over this up yet. It's still awesome. I just have a lot I want to say about it, and I want to wait until later, so stay tuned for that. It's just a normal day in Gracefield. You can see that Emma's feeling a bit shaky. Specifically when Isabella talks, you can hear her kind of whimper in fear. As if she's scared of her and the faux sense of security that her voice gives off. But what's this? Norman is absolutely fine.
Hi, Emma. Morning. Come on. Smile.
Heartless motherfucker. Obviously, I'm joking. Norman has been shown to be able to keep calm in situations a lot easier than Emma can. So it's no surprise that he can maintain his usual personality even after witnessing what I outlined in episode 1.
We have to act like nothing happened. Sure, we might have broken the rules by going to the gate last night, but that doesn't mean we saw anything.
Also, I know I talk about colors a lot, but it's a way that animators use to create different moods for different situations, and here the lighting makes all the colors seem very lifeless and serious, like they were at the gate, showing the difference in their worldview before and after they realized they were livestock on a farm.
But the demon confirmed it wasn't random. He said another 6-year-old. They've all been average lately. Norman's
deduction skills are showcased here, where he's able to basically deduct how the entire system works with quite limited information as well. I would show how he comes up with this, but Aniplex would take my video down again. Yeah, I'm limited to only showing like 10 seconds of footage at a time, and he talks about this for like at least 30 seconds. So anyway, from this line that Norman heard in the last episode.
Another 6-year-old. We've only been shipping out average ones lately.
He was able to deduce that age had something to do with how good the meat was. Then he recalled that all people shipped out were between the ages of 6 and 12, so people who are age 12 must have the highest quality meat. One thing that still confuses me is this dialogue line from Norman.
Results weren't announced unless we received full marks, which means when we turn 6, we're harvested in order from lowest test scores up.
How is the fact that Isabella announces only the highest scores determine the order of shipment? I mean, they are later revealed to be right, but I have a problem with this logic. It feels more like an assumption. For all they know, it's all random unless someone gets perfect test scores, since that's the only time Isabella bothered to announce it is if it was a perfect score. A better way to get this answer is seeing the correlation between how old someone is and how well they do in their tests. For example, Don and Gilda both are the highest if you discount the main squad, and they're the second oldest, which would suggest if they get higher test scores, they are shipped out later. But I guess they could just get higher test scores because they are older as well. Or they should just look at themselves. They have the oldest in Gracefield and they have the highest test scores. Or the fact that Connie was, with respect, quite dense and she got shipped out very young.
I'm jealous. I didn't get most of the questions.
What doesn't make sense is drawing this conclusion from announcing the test scores. But let me know in the comments if you disagree. I'm still at the size where I can reply to all of them, so take advantage of that. Yeah, this is Future Guy and I wrote here. It turns out this is a dub issue. Well, it looks like it at least, because in the sub, he says, yeah, it was never announced unless we got full scores. But maybe, meaning that they didn't draw a conclusion from the fact that it was announced. They used the fact that it was only announced if they got full scores to deduce that the scores that they don't see must contribute to the order of when they are shipped. Anyways, back to future. Well, back to past me, I guess, actually. I don't know. Okay, trust me, I have other things to analyze other than colors and shit, but it's really interesting to me, and I always have to point it out, okay? As they find out more about how the system is organized, the colors get more and more vivid again, which kind of symbolizes the hope that they have that they can figure it out, or like illuminating the dark path. They treat it more like a puzzle that has a solution rather than, oh no, scary demons. This is seen throughout the series where when they find out new bad news, the color goes away, and it returns once they find out a solution. Honestly, I can write a whole series on the camera work and the colors, but I digress. They also realize that the reason why high test scores determine meat quality is that their brains must taste better if they're more developed.
That means that the brain must taste the best, and the more developed it is, the better.
which is kind of true, but also kind of not. That's all I'll say. Norman also deduces that the shipment must be 2 months from now, which gives him 2 months to plan the escape. Here seems like a good time to mention the fact that we do actually know the exact date of this episode, and all episodes in fact. Remember the names of the episode that appear at the beginning? At first I thought it was an identification number of one of the characters that were featured in that episode, but I looked it up and it's actually meant to be a date, so this would be 13th of October 2045, and the last episode was 12th of October 2045, so a day before. So yeah, this is technically set in the future, which is kind of cool I guess, even though the coolest piece of technology are these dumb examination thingies. This means we know exactly how much time has passed between episodes, which is helpful. After presumably doing their chores off screen, they're in the forest to start their master escape plan. And we see some pathetic fallacy here. I knew GCSE English would come in handy someday. If only Mrs. Moore could see me now. She'd probably grade this video as C-. It's okay guys, I'm totally over it. But yeah, it's raining. It goes for the breaking of the entire worldview, so that's cool I guess. A little overused in my opinion. I like the other ways they use to show emotion through animation more. But anyways, in their escape plan, they have the option to either break out through the gate or go through the forest. They decide to go through the forest, the reasoning being that the gate is always closed if there's no shipping happening, and when it's open, there are demons. These are 2 valid reasons why you shouldn't go through the gate, but even though it's open all the time, I would not trust it. They have no idea where the gate goes, and in fact, as future episodes will show, let's just say it would have been a very, very bad idea. As for when they escape, they also have 2 options, during the daytime or during shipping, but Emma quickly shoots down the idea of doing it while shipping because they'd have to let someone die in order to escape.
We can't wait to do it during shipping. That plan means someone we love dies.
Which solidifies the character trait that Emma wants to get every single person out alive, which is quite idealistic. She's shown to think more emotionally rather than logically, whereas Norman seemed more concerned that during shipping it would be hard for the younger ones to stay up. Now that they got a very bare bones idea of how they want to escape, they do some scouting of the wall. At first, Norman tries to climb a tree and falls on his ass rather spectacularly, blaming the fact that he's been thinking too much.
I guess I must be tired from thinking too much.
And if you're wondering, I've tried this excuse and it's apparently not a valid excuse to get out of PE class. But yeah, Emma's able to climb up instead and deduces that the wall is too smooth to climb normally, but would be no problem with a rope.
If it was you or me, climbing this wouldn't be a problem with a rope.
So it seems like taking the other kids is the problem to them at the moment. The bell rings, so they have to hurry back to Gracefield house, otherwise Isabella will get suspicious, which is why they're out of breath here. But I feel like them rushing back so fast that they are visibly out of breath is also a little bit suspicious.
I'm sorry, I lost Nyla while we were playing in the forest.
Yeah, so Isabella immediately reaches for a watch, goes to the forest, and immediately finds the child. Alright, it's time for some whimsy. You guys know what time it is. It's time for puzzle time with Guy on Night Mode. Here are the order of events. Number 1, kid missing. Number 2, Isabella pull watch out. Number 3, kid found. What do you think happened? If you said A, you were right. But for the record, I also would have accepted C. Not B though, although that seems like it would be really cool. This confirms 2 things to them, that there are trackers somewhere on/in them, and that this is Isabella's way of saying, come at me, bitch. Later in the orphanage, Emma asked this.
We have tracking devices on us. Then what if there are cameras or listening devices also?
Don't worry. I already took a look around.
This shows that Norman's already a few steps ahead of Emma, further emphasizing the difference in their intellect.
Norman, do you think Mom already knows we went all the way to the wall?
Notice how she says walls are not a gate, and this is Norman's response.
When we tried to deliver Little Bunny, it didn't seem like she knew we were there. That tells us Mom doesn't know where we are at any given time. She can only tell our location when she checks.
Although this is true, this doesn't answer Emma's question, and this was my question as well. If her children are just playing around in the field, then Isabella must at least check the watch a little bit just to see where they are, especially after she knows that someone went to the gate. If it were me, I'd have my eyes glued to that tracker to try and see who goes to look at the wall during that time. And since Emma and Norman were out of breath on return, it would give more evidence that it was them too. But maybe she did do this and it's just not 100% sure yet. I also find it odd that Norman acts like he deduced that Isabella doesn't know their location all the time. As 1, he literally saw how she checks where the kids are, and 2, the alternative is Isabella being a Stan user or something and just knowing. Like, of course you'd have to check. A future guy on Night Mode here again, but guess what? It's another sub thing. Lovely. In the sub, it's phrased more as a prerequisite. Like, he's not deducing that Mum doesn't know where they are at all times, he's just kind of stating that. But in the dub, it's kind of phrased like he's figuring out that mom can't check his location at all times. They should really just stick with the sub and then change a few words to make it read better in English, because it does change the meaning of a lot of lines.
It'll be fine, Emma. She has no reason to suspect us.
Oh, she has tons of reasons to suspect you. Anyway, Norman leaves for a second to help Don and returns to this. Oh boy, getting caught grieving over Connie's photos? Can't help, right?
What's wrong, Emma? You're looking a bit pale. Something happened? I noticed earlier that you weren't your cheery self.
I half expect Emma's hair to turn blue and Isabella's to turn red, and it cuts to a scene of them staring at each other from different skyscrapers. It's like a mental battle between Elle and Light, where, in this scenario, Isabella's Elle, who basically knows it's Emma and Norman who went to the gate but is trying to prove it. Sorry if you haven't watched the anime, but it's kind of my favorite. The main point I'm trying to make here is that mental battles in anime I always personally find to be more engaging and interesting than the physical, punchy, shonen battles you see in a lot of anime. Okay, I will bring up a manga here a little, only because I don't want to have to leave it to a manga differences section, since it's important to understanding the scene. Even though if we're discounting this one, we're kind of playing fast and loose with the word list. But we do get to see some of the inner dialogue that Emma has here, where she says that she wants to cry, she's scared, mortified, so sad, and she wants to scream, followed by switching back to her fun, loving, happy persona, which you can basically see on her face anyways. I guess it's kind of justified cutting this inner dialogue, but it's interesting to know anyway.
Don't worry about me. I just got a little sad thinking about how I'm gonna have to leave the house pretty soon.
Everything is so tense, so carefully worded from both sides as to not give away information.
Do you like living here?
I love the house and you too!
The tension here is one of the reasons why I love this anime so much, and this is not the only mental battle we get to see in this anime, so stay tuned for that.
I wonder what Connie's up to right now.
Yeah, that's definitely a very risky thing to say.
I wonder what Connie's up to right now.
Oh my goodness.
It's so ballsy. That's so ballsy.
Having the balls to say that, even after being terrified before, it really shows how much Emma cares about her family that she would even mention this in front of Isabella. If they somehow weren't suspects before, they definitely are now. This reminds me of, okay, last definite reference in this episode, I promise. But it reminds me of Light taunting Elle, which he does a lot throughout the entire series. But Light was doing it in order to show his superiority over Elle. In this case, Emma's presumably doing it to see if Mum cares even a little bit about the fact that, you know, she facilitated the murder of one of her children. But then fucking piece of shit Ray comes and fucking fucks up my tension. The little fucking what the fuck was that? Okay, Ray hatred to the side, Emma and Norman attempt to leave, and we get this line.
About last night, did you two go to the gate?
To the gate? But that's against the rules. Besides, we were tired from playing tag yesterday, right?
Well replied by Norman, to be fair. I mean, this could still make Isabella suspicious. Just because if you weren't at the gate, then why would you offer an excuse for not being there? Like saying that you were tired from playing. But I guess any normal kid would give reasons why they couldn't have done something bad. I would just personally find it more risky. After they're out of Isabella's sight, they take a moment to catch their breath. Two notes here. You can see that Norman's hand is shaking as well, showing that he's also terrified and just hiding it really well. I think this shows a lot of character for Norman because it shows that although his intellect is off the charts, he's still not above being afraid and being scared. And even if he tries to hide it, it's still visible in some ways. The second note is that Ray actually notices this. I'll go into this more later in the episode, but just note this for now. Later in the night, Norman picks the lock to a storage room to find tablecloths in order to use them as rope, which gives them a way to get over the wall, but this doesn't solve all their problems, as they still need a way to get rid of the trackers and get everyone else out. So they decided this.
Norman, I think it'd be a good idea to tell Ray and get his opinion.
And yeah, Ray is smarter than Emma, so it is a great idea to get him on this plan. Or is it?
But what?
Tell you what, I'll talk to Ray myself. Why don't you head back to the house for now?
Why not now?
Ray!
Yup, Ray's here. He followed Norman and Emma. He's always been known to be skeptical of people, as I outlined in the first episode, so this shouldn't be a surprise.
Tell me what happened at the gate the other night. You both were acting a lot weirder than usual and came back empty-handed even though you didn't see her.
After Norman and Emma explain the whole situation, Emma notes that Ray believes them very quickly.
Demons, huh? Farm? Mom is the enemy? This is bad.
He kept us on fast!
And he does, to be fair. Like, not even a little bit of shock, just like, yup, I guess this is the case now.
Actually, I'm surprised you're ready to believe this so easily.
Wouldn't you at least ask a few questions? I'd at least be a little surprised, you know?
If we're really going to make a break for it, we need to address a couple things. First is the number of kids. We should narrow it down to those who can make it.
Wait! We're leaving here and taking everyone.
Yeah, of course Emma was going to have a problem with that. She's quite naive and emotionally driven, a trait that we usually see with a lot of protagonists in anime. It's kind of basic, but it works for a story, so I'll give it a pass.
There are 37 kids here. Most of them aren't even 6 years old yet. There's mom, demons, homing beacon. Those factors take a bad situation and make it worse.
Ray is showing his ability to read the situation very well here.
Emma, you don't get it, do you?
Ray, hang on!
I see. That's why you said you'd talk to me.
These are very smart kids. I like how the anime shows us that they're smart rather than telling us.
We don't know what's waiting outside beyond this wall, but there's a place we're getting shipped to. The fact that there's a farm and a buyer should give you an idea. What waits outside is a demon's world. It was never meant for our kind.
Also, he seems to have given us a great deal of thought already, even though he's just found out about this.
So it's impossible. If we take everyone, then we'll all die out there.
I've dunked on Ray a lot of this series, but he's still a great character, and he definitely adds a lot to the plot. He's like Emma's polar opposite, where he's very cynical and logical and realistic.
No way. Even if it's impossible, they're all coming. We can figure it out.
What?
Even if it's impossible, we can figure it out. Maybe they don't learn language after all. But yeah, if I show too much of a scene, Aniplex will take my video down again. I'm not salty, guys. It's just like, you know, hours of work and script writing and editing. Like, it's not a big deal. But this scene is basically Emma just insisting that she wants to get every single person out no matter what and no matter how impossible it is. And I'm not going to lie, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I actually slightly agree with Ray here. She's risking too much. She's a literal infant and toddlers, and you have no idea what's out there. Kids that age would definitely survive longer on the farm than outside of it. And it's aggravating that she doesn't see that. There's a point where you have to be realistic and cut your differences and get out who you can and leave who you can't. Dying peacefully on a farm is a lot better than being ripped apart by whatever's out there in the forest. But hey, I might be being a little bit heartless here, so let me know what you think in the comments. Norman seems to shrug this off and laugh at it instead, which Ray gets mad at.
How can you just laugh? Her plan is suicide!
Then he eventually reveals that he wants to follow Emma in this impossible plan of getting everyone out. And he says this about Emma.
What I saw there made me afraid of dying. Emma was scared, but it was the thought of her family dying that horrified her.
And yep, Norman's on board. I'm not sure why, since it, you know, kind of goes against his entire character slightly, which Ray points out.
You're supposed to be different! You're the cool-headed one who should weigh out the best option!
This shows how much Norman cares for Emma and his family, and he wants to see things through, even if it is quite a daft idea.
We've completely lost it. So you can't let us do it alone.
You jerk. What kind of friend would I be if I did?
And yeah, I guess Ray's in now. He doesn't seem too happy about it though. His hand has been kind of forced here. But everyone's on board and things are looking good. Nothing bad could possibly happen now, right? Everything is under control.
Attention! I want you to meet Carol, your newest sibling. And this is Sister Krona. She's here to help me with my duties.
Yeah, she is pretty scary to be fair.
Oh God.
I can make a,
she's black. Oh no.
And she's black. Alright, maybe that's not the most important thing about this character, but we'll go over Sister Crone in the next episode. Anyways, here's a few manga differences. Hao and CD are mentioned in the anime but not shown.
Connie was shipped most recently. Before her was Hao. And Seti before him.
But they are shown in the manga, so we do get to see what they look like. As mentioned previously, we get to see a little bit of Emma's internal dialogue. We get to see what Isabella's feeling about Emma a little bit. In the manga, Emma notices that the windows are caged. When Mom asks if Norman and Emma have been to the gate, Norman doesn't struggle at all in the manga, but he does in the anime. However, in the manga, it is later stated that Emma saw his hand shaking. But what do I know? I'm just a guy on night mode, and I thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, leaving a like would help me out massively. And be sure to check out episode 1 as well, link in the description, or likely just right here on the screen. Probably, maybe, possibly. If you really liked it, consider subscribing. It's free and you can unsub at any time, and it would really help me out. Anyways, love you, bye.